Okay. This time we're going to do it, Colin. This time we're going to do it. I promise. Okay. Hmm. Public. Okay, you guys. We're going to check this again. So it wasn't expressing out to the public, and I think we got it nailed in. So I'm just going to give people a couple of minutes to pop in. Hi, Colin. Nice to see you again. Oh, this is too fun. This is so perfect because we are going to continue to just persevere and make this work. Okay, we're going to share this. Look at, I can share now. Here we go, posting. And then we're going to bring this onto copy. Oh my goodness. Okay. Morning, everybody. I think you can see us now. So let's see. Yay. Yes. Oh my gosh. This is a blessing. Okay. We have liftoff, you guys. We have liftoff. Oh dear. Perfect. Okay. Oh my gosh. We're all set. So good evening, Colin. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody, where you are. I'm still seeing people come in here. So this is beautiful. Hi, Deborah. Um, Deborah saying hello, Chastity and Colin. Thank you. For being patient with us being. The good news is we're not as late as we were last week. So this is fantastic. And we did make it on Facebook. That also is beautiful. I'm going to let a few more people come in here as they're starting to see us. Hey, everybody. Um, Last week, we chatted about some really cool stuff about taking our power back and what that looks like, what kind of power we have, how to take that back as the angelic human beings that we are, as these powerful, beautiful beings that we are. And now is a good is as good of time as any. I need more coffee this morning. To really begin to anchor in these powerful frequencies. We have a lot of shifting and changing, a lot of awakening happening in the planet. And these energies are really being amplified and supported, not only by our soul families, our higher selves, our teams, these kinds of things. But a lot of us here are really beginning to understand how to collectively connect our mind, body, and spirit, and how to amplify that, and how to change and create what we call a holographic universe. And Colin is going to explain what this is. We've touched on it in earlier talkings, earlier shows. We've also just kind of brushed through and used some of this terminology. What is a hologram? These kinds of things. Colin also has extensive workshops, classes, and books on how this works. So while we're going to dive deep in this discussion, we're not going to go as deep as you would by learning this in a deeper session, in deeper session work. So this is going to start to give an idea of what this looks like and how you can master your own hologram. So thank you so much, Colin, for just lovingly always being here and sharing and expressing your amazing wisdom and knowledge. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you again, Chastity, and to be with all the listeners. Um, the last week we started speaking about taking our power back, and people always seem to associate power with some sort of mighty ability in the physical world, in the physical reality. But in truth, our power is an unseen power, and we can't see the power that we have. We can see the effects of using that power in our external reality field that is a hologram. But people seem to sit back and just experience their hologram as if that's what happens to us. Life happens to us without the realization that we are the ones who are creating the hologram. And we are creating the hologram through our apathy, through our lack of engagement with it, and our lack of understanding what it is. And so we have this acceptance of what is happening out there as if life is just happening to us, and we don't understand that we are actually making that hologram uh, picture, the movie we're watching, the movie we experience in our lives. And so it's important that people understand the power that they have within them to change the hologram. Okay, now holograms work in time and space, and time and space is just snapshots, pictures of events in our lives. And all those pictures have information attached to them. So it's like the metadata on a picture that you create and you post onto your Facebook page or somewhere on your computer. If you go into the metadata, it's just information, okay? And that information results in a picture being put out there on your computer so you can actually see it. And it's the metadata within us that is creating the hologram. Now, what is that that metadata? That metadata is just information. And where does that information come from? Well, that's the key aspect to it. Who's giving you the information? Are you finding it out for yourself, or are you just accepting everything that people tell you? And that's why so many people have cognitive dissonance, because they're just receiving information that becomes the metadata for the hologram they're experiencing, for the movie they're experiencing. Because metadata doesn't just affect pictures. All the movies that we create on a computer are made with metadata. Okay, and each frame has a particular set, a particular set of information that creates the picture on the screen. Now, in a sense, that's the same thing with us. We are creating the hologram through the metadata we are projecting from through ourselves into our hologram. So it's a strange thing. It's almost like we are seeing the hologram, but we are creating what we're seeing.
Okay, I have to stop you right there because I know, like, I have a million questions and I feel like I kind of get how this works. And so if I have a million questions, I know that there's got to be people with a million more, right? So, okay, I just want, this is fascinating. So I'm curious if the metadata is the same thing. Is it the same in the mind as it is in the physicality? So does that make sense? Like, am I saying that, I'm looking at a computer or I can see outside or I'm stepping on the ground and it's solid? Is that the same metadata as if I were to do an imagination walking outside and imagining that I'm walking somewhere? Is that the same or is that a different kind of data?
Yeah, the data comes from several sources. So it's not just from one source, because we live in a universe of information. So the information's already there. And the information is ordered in such a way so as to create a reality field that we can relate to and have our experiences in. So the underlying structure of the hologram, the metadata is there. That's the structure. And within that structure, we experience our reality. So that's one area. Another area where the data comes from is from the soul body. Now, the soul body has soul codes, seed codes, whatever. And that data is all the data that from our past lives. In our soul evolutionary journey, we are evolving souls on an evolutionary journey. And so all that metadata is in our soul bodies. And in a sense, we come here to what's the word I'm looking for? We come here to improve our souls. We come here to refine our souls. We come here, and all that information from past lives is in our soul bodies.
Right.
So there's a whole body of information that we don't consciously have access to, but it's our job to see what's there, to go introspectively look within, and to say, why did I react in that way? Why did I behave in that way? Why did I think in that way? Why did I feel the way I felt? And all that is part of the metadata that's inside your soul body.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the universe, as we live in, people call it air, but it's not air, it's ether. And these are waves of light and sound that surround us all the time. And the thing about a wave, people have to understand, it's essential to understand, a wave comes from somewhere and it's going somewhere. Waves don't stand still, so they're not frozen waves. There's movement all the time, so it's a very dynamic universe. But the waves are structured in a way so that they obey the laws of the universe and come to us in a certain direction, and then they go out in a certain direction. And when they come into our field of energy, okay, now the waves, the light waves, come to the pineal gland. That is your seat of your intuition, your seat of real knowledge, your seat of intelligence. And when it comes into the pineal gland, it brings all this information that has come from somewhere and it's going somewhere. And what it requires from us is for us to transmute the information and transform it so that the experiences we have relate to us personally. So what most people are doing are totally unaware that they're receiving all this information, these thoughts coming randomly all the time into their heads. And they can't understand why they're thinking this thing or why they dreamt that thing last night, because the information is all out there. Mm-hmm. And it's there, it's meant to benefit us and to make us grow as souls, because that's what we are. We're not physical bodies, we're souls having a physical experience. Mm-hmm. And so we have this very amazing system of information transfer from somewhere else through us on its way somewhere else. And it's almost like that we get that opportunity to change the metadata through our thoughts and through our emotions. Okay. And as far as waves are concerned, thought waves are linear, they go in one direction, they're electric waves. And emotional waves are magnetic waves, so they go out as concentric circles. Okay, so they're 360 degrees. That's why you can hear sound behind you. It's a sound wave that is a magnetic wave. Magnetic sound, female, it's all part of that structure of the waveform. Okay, it manifests as different things at different levels, depending on the frequency of the observer.
Oh my gosh. This is like, is it okay if I interject here?
Sure, please do, because I know stuff, but I often take for granted that everyone else understands.
Yeah, there's so much. There's like there's already so many like amazing things that I want to like start to dissect and ask questions about. I picture, I want to go back to the pineal gland. A lot of people, they know it's a gland. People hear, oh, I have a calcified pineal gland, or they hear, yeah, I know that I'm, a soul having a human experience. And I just want to add, we're much more than just a soul, right? And it's like these pieces, part of, if I'm hearing this correctly, part of this mastering the hologram is understanding how to connect the soul to the physical body first, because there are many other aspects of ourselves in the hologram. Okay, but really starting to understand the hologram is understanding the soul connects to the physical. And so I'm curious, because we're talking about these thoughts that come in, Colin, that are, where did that come from? Is that even my thought? Right. And then, um, so these thoughts are coming in, right? If the thoughts are linear, right? So they're moving forward essentially, right? Um, how, gosh, my mind is like bending here for a second. Like, um, can we in this linear thought process with magnetic emotional experiences go back in the hologram, like let's say somebody, let's talk about like being hypnotized, or being in deep meditation, and let's say you connect in with your pineal gland and that projects what would be a past, present, or future life. So we're seeing images on a screen. This is the metadata, right, that is held in the, at least the soul, right? Can we go back and make adjustments in those times, and is that something that we need to do? Is that something that is important to do, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the way we do it is, in a sense, this talk could be about imagination, faith, and hope.
Mhm.
Because if we use our imagination, what are we doing? We imaging something in our minds. We can't see it with our eyes, but we imagine it in our minds. And if you can image something in your mind, you're creating the metadata as far as the universe is concerned. It's the information behind the experience you want to have. So, and the more detailed you can imagine it, something, the more powerful it's going to be in your experience. So, for instance, there was a time in my life where I thought, well, I really would like to change my job. I'd like to go into, I was in banking then, and I wanted to go into the best bank in South Africa, and in a particular department, that the best department in South Africa. And I was living in far away in another town, city. And so I learned this from Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. He wrote a book, the Power of Thinking, or The Power of Thought, I think he wrote. And he suggested you image what you want to experience. So I imaged me sitting in this bank, and then going downstairs and getting into my nice new BMW car, and then traveling to a customer, talking about these big projects that they were involved in and how we were going to finance them. And so I tried to literally, in my mind, create this image. So lo and behold, as the universe always does, it sends an advert in the newspaper that this bank is looking for somebody in this particular department.
Hmm.
So, so I really didn't have the qualifications, because everyone else there had degrees. I only had a banking diploma. But anyway, I applied, and I got a response from them that they wanted to speak to me. So off I flew to Johannesburg to go have an interview. And I walk into the interview, and who's there? But one of my old school rugby buddies,
Oh my goodness.
who was going to be my boss.
Oh my goodness.
And, just such synchronous. We talked at length, and they tested me for my, you have to be particularly skilled in mathematics and financial mathematics as a project finance guy. And they tested me for that, and I passed with flying colors. And so that they then employed me. And so I moved into this house, which I had imaged, a thatched roof house in a particular area with big trees all around it. I had the nice new, brand new BMW car. And everything that I imaged in my mind happened.
Wow.
So it didn't happen because I didn't actually spend enough time imaging other parts of my life, that I should have imaged, but I didn't. I just wanted that one thing. But that's, and I've applied it many times over and over again and thought something in detail, like when I moved down to the Cape, I saw this image of where I wanted to live, and it was in a mountainous area, and it was beautiful trees and everything. And someone comes to visit me, a lady who's also on Facebook, and she says, "Well, you know, I live on this farm in the Western Cape, and maybe you'd like to come and live there as well. I'll speak to the owners." So I said, okay. And she gave me the name of the farm. I went on the internet and I looked up this farm, and they had a web page because it's a guest house. And the images I saw were the images that I had created in my mind.
Oh my
Mountain
goodness.
areas, beautiful, sunset areas, mountains, big trees all around. And I thought, this is amazing that we are that powerful that we can create the metadata for our experiences through our imagining that. But it's also imagination combined with faith.
Yeah.
Faith is a very powerful thing. We talked a bit about this before. In the Bible, it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And that's how powerful faith is, because faith then brings into substance those things we imagined, and it makes the unseen seen.
Yeah. I love that. Making the unseen, it makes the unseen seen. I have found that without that little detail, that little detail of faith, then the negative thoughts will creep in and it will tear down the holographic structure you're trying to create. It just dissolves it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When Jesus said that if you had the faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to that mountain, "Be you removed," and it will move.
Hmm.
Because in you, the mountain won't move. Your mind or your consciousness will move.
Yes. Yes. And there's a big, huge, I don't get it. That doesn't make sense to me. How do I move that mountain? That doesn't, and then we automatically take the time to put up all these blocks instead of, which keeps us in an entropic or closed source system, right? Instead of allowing ourselves to be open to this vast open source universe, right? We automatically close ourselves off to it. I want
Yeah,
to go back to the soul piece for a second because we're talking about um, expanding, learning for our souls. I think it was just kind of loosely said, we're here to grow our souls, which is, grow our knowledge, right? Which is our spiritual knowledge to take back. The way I understand it, this is pretty much like a prison, hellish planet, but we learn very quickly here. So only like the bravest of souls come here. However, um, that's what I heard. I don't know. I'll take it. I'm like, uh, so what I'm curious about is like, do we, how, like this is going to say, how are we growing our souls, right? Is that about, um, is that about like taking all the memories that we had in this other space, place or reality, and then by ripping all those memories away, is it, and then being stuck in a quarantined planet? We're not quarantined anymore, but we were. Was this the part that was supposed to help our soul express? And how does that help humanity when we understand the levels of the holographic universe and how our soul is combined into that. Like, what's the point of that, right? Some people are just going to go, well, if it is what it is, I mean, why am I even here? Like, what's the point? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand that perfectly. I used to think like that, before, and I had the opportunity to meet my higher selves, and they taught me a lot of how this works. The truth is this, well, let's go back to the souls, the evolution journey. We are meant to be giving ourselves experiences to grow our souls, okay? But we don't do that here because our minds have been captured, our thoughts have been captured, our thinking has been captured, our habits have been captured. We are just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and not being able to think outside the box. We can't see it the way it really is. And the way it really is that we live in a very abundant universe filled with information that wants to give us more than we are willing to receive, you know. So yeah, that's the one side of it. The other side of it is we are meant to be giving ourselves experiences. So we, the way we give ourselves these experiences is by using our imagination and thinking, our thought and feeling. The important part of imagination is when you image it, feel it, feel the emotions of that image and feel what it would be like, because that is the way you sculpt your shape, by seeing it and feeling it. And if it doesn't feel right, then change it. So if you imagine a red Ferrari and it doesn't feel right, try a white Ferrari. If that doesn't feel right, try a green Porsche.
Or a
Feel it,
Volkswagen Bug, right?
because the
Scale
image
down.
feeling,
Oh, hold on. I
the
think.
feeling, the magnetic wave is is a wave carrier. So it's sending that signal out, sending out that metadata, and that goes into a frequency wave, and that frequency wave is attached to a certain frequency of timeline. So that timeline will then carry that image, whether you experience it or not. It's irrelevant. You have created it. But what the universe does, it gives you back those things that you think and feel. So if you're feeling hope, joy, love, peace, that's what you're going to get back to you. If
Mhm.
you feel anger, worry, anxiety, the universe is going to give you that back to you.
That's exactly right. I've also noticed, even if you uh, choose the words, I don't want to feel full of anxiety. The universe hears full of anxiety, right? Because the vibration of the words I don't want, right, are so low vibrational that it's going to keep you stuck. Language is so important. And, it's also so primitive. And so until we can't speak, until we don't have to speak to each other and we can go back to telepathic communication, we have to be very mindful. We don't have to. It's important to be very mindful the words we choose and the vibrations that they carry, because the universe is very specific. And it's curious because like and this is kind of silly, but I have this girlfriend, she'll manifest like the next person she wants to date, right? But she'll get all the qualities but miss like these really important ones, right? So I'm like, well, hey, that's what you asked for, right? Like it's uh
Yeah, that's
it's
why I
kind of
said think of it in detail. Imagine the detail.
oh my goodness. I just want to say hi to some people. Hello, Angela. Thank you for distributing love here on our show. And hello, brightest blessings to you too. Um, and I don't know if I'll say your name correctly. Ayavish. Ayavish. That's beautiful, Helen. And hi, everybody. Thank you so much for popping in and watching us and supporting us. Um, okay, back to the soul piece and to creating, because when we are connected into because our minds and our thoughts have been captured and collected, like you're saying, right? This is how they do the mind control, the AI programming. This is the NAA, the fallen angelics, right? So this is going into what I would see as like they create like these timelines on top of our real timelines, right? And we're like stuck in those. How then are you saying that if we connect into the true magnetic wave forces and the real organic thought processes, will we automatically go to the organic open source timelines?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly how it's going to happen. It's us changing the hologram, us changing the frequency of our thoughts and emotions, so that puts our thoughts and emotions on a wave of frequency that puts us onto a different experience of reality, and those experiences are then on a different timeline. So our timeline has been managed to keep us in very low frequency here. So what we have to try to do is to take back our power, use the power of our imaginations, create the world we want to live in our minds, and then use faith. But that's where my version of prayer is taking that image and sending it to the universe. Say, this is what I want. Please help me. This is what I'd like to experience. And when it comes back to you, own it. And so there, I
Yeah.
created this experience.
Not I just got lucky, right? Like, honoring the fact that you took the time, you put your heart energy, you put love and joy and all of these things into that. It reminds me of, creating a dream board, right? And for those of us that don't have a wild imagination or an imagination that they feel comfortable with, start with doing something tangible, 3D, by creating a dream board. Put your dream house on it or the words that you feel you want to live by. I think that that's a really amazing place to start, and
Yeah,
fun, right? Especially for those of us still not leaving the house, but you know, create it, create
yeah,
it.
yeah. In a sense, that's how Buddhism works. They create these dolls, and they imagine that person to be the little doll for you, and they stick pins in it, and they're sending that signal out to the universe.
Did you say to create? Are you talking about voodoo dolls? Oh, you just froze. I'm just gonna chat for a second. I'm just gonna chat about voodoo dolls for a second because I thought that's what I heard Colin say. Oh, there you are. Here you are. You were frozen. So, were you talking about voodoo dolls? Oh, he's still frozen
Yes,
again.
I was. Yeah,
Oh, there you are. Oh, okay.
yeah. My connection's a bit unstable at the moment.
That's okay.
I live in a small town, and we're at the end of the line as far as connectivity is concerned.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's I think that our connection has actually gotten better over time as we create this container to come into. So I think it's strengthened quite significantly. We
Yeah,
get railroaded it here and there, but that's okay. We can overcome that.
yeah,
So wow. Okay. Now here's where it gets kind of tricky, right? Let's say we're connecting into our soul. Like that's what a lot of people are doing right now. We are awakening to the fact that we have a soul, which for some people is like this is a huge deal, right? And then there are some of us that are moving on to into connecting monadic bodies and avatar bodies, right? And um, really shifting in other ways. So um, let's say somebody has, for our listeners that are like moving beyond the soul body, okay, and really moving into the oversoul or the monad, um, can they still get really trapped in this entropic system? Is that still something they need to get unstuck from and still work through?
yeah. Yeah, it's, Paul the Apostle said it this way, he said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your minds. And that's really what we have to do.
Hmm.
Don't conform and renew your mind. change, let all things become new, let old things pass away. It really is a born again experience in a sense
Yeah.
that we have let go of the past and 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 meet the challenge to create the futures that we want to experience.
Yeah. And let go of the past, not just three-dimensionally, because a lot of people are really holding on. What I think part of what we don't understand is that our cells, our body, our soul, these things remember really traumatic experiences, and good ones too, right? But by understanding that we have a past that we can't see, okay, and that we don't remember experiencing, it doesn't mean that our bodies, it doesn't mean that our soul and our cellular structure doesn't remember, because it does, right? And so how do we forgive that, Colin? How do you forgive something you can't see or don't even know? Like, where do you start that? How do you start that process?
Well, the thing is, the parts of you that you don't see, or the parts of us that we don't see, are our thoughts and emotions. We only see their effects, but we know they're there, but we can't see them. Okay, so it's working with your thoughts and emotions and uh, interrogating your thoughts and emotions and saying, is this really me in my head, or is someone else speaking to me? And so it's clearing out the voices in your head from the past. You will hear teachers telling you stuff. You will hear your parents telling you stuff. You will hear siblings telling you stuff. Newspapers, cinema, movies,
Hmm.
theaters, they are telling you stuff. And all these thoughts come through our heads, and we've got to say, these are random. This is random information. And I choose not to be randomized. I choose rather to focus my energy and focus my thoughts and to structure my thoughts in a way that works for me. And, and it actually has a physical effect because it does begin to clean out the certain miasms in the body. Um, uh, because all these thoughts are going into our brains, and our brain sends out chemicals to our bodies, and these chemicals then create a reaction in our body. It's called the fight or flight reaction, or the dopamine reaction of feeling satisfied and happy and so on. And all this chemistry is going through our bodies because of the thoughts we have and because of the emotions we're feeling. And so we have these little receptors in our brain, the bottom end of our brain, sending out these chemicals through the nervous system. So our thoughts are affecting our bodies.
Yeah.
And so if we are thinking thoughts of well-being, happiness, kind thoughts, that has an effect on your body, because that signal is also just another signaling system that exists in the body and sends those messages through our nervous system into the body.
Yeah.
And so, things like meditation. What is meditation? People don't know what meditation is. Thinking your own thoughts in a way that you choose to. Okay, it's also thinking no thoughts and just being alone with your emotions and feeling the emotions of peace, no thoughts, just emotions. So you can use that time of meditation to imagine the things you want to see in your experience and to feel them and to own them and say, I take responsibility for this thought. Now, because we are serious creators, people don't understand that. We are serious creators.
Hmm.
I, I've experienced this through in 2006 when I became a grid worker, a grid keeper. My higher self said, "Do you have anything, that you'd like to change on this planet?" And I said, "Yes, there are a couple of things I'd like to see happen." I said, "The one thing is I'd like 911 people responsible for what happened in 911 brought to account. I'd like to see Satanism and pedophilia exposed on this planet and brought to an end. And I'd like to see that, the whole system of government on this planet changes because it's wrong. It doesn't work.
Mhm.
It doesn't work in favor of human beings. And so these thoughts have played out through my mind for, a long time. And in 2006, we hardly ever heard about pedophilia on the internet. And now every day it's there.
Every day. And I say a sigh of relief because it's not hidden anymore. With our thoughts, we have exposed this. For those of us that know, can and for those of us that can know, will know. And for those of us that can make a difference, will make a difference. And we have. And that is by putting our collective thoughts and putting that out there. We have the same passions, getting rid of Satanism and pedophilia. It is being exposed, and I am just I'm giddy about it because I'm like, I know, and I'm like doing happy dances, not because it's happening, but because it is being exposed every single day. And it is in the face every single day. And people can't help but see. And cognitive dissonance is not going to remain in place much longer. So
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
have to be digested and processed.
yeah. And it's going to be a very big wake up for people to realize exactly what's been happening to them, because it's really, for many people, life just happens to them.
Yeah.
They don't feel they have any participation in their lives at all. It's just what happens to them. And they make choices about eating and going to bed, what time to go to bed, what they're going to eat, or what they're going to wear. And that's the full sum total of their participation in life. They don't understand that they are creating the experiences they have.
Yeah, exactly. No clue. None.
Yeah,
This is just how it is, right?
yeah,
I'm or even saying, well, my mom had breast cancer, so I'm probably going to get breast cancer, or my so and so, and they take all of that on, right? I've seen more people just like accept that that's the way their life is going to be. And I even one time got into an argument. This was at a bar top one time way back when, and someone said his wife had passed of cancer. And well, we were talking about cancer first and about how it's unavoidable, and when you get it you're just going to die, and like all of these things. I'm like, well, I don't believe that. I believe that cancer is stuck emotions, and we can get this out of our body, and we can create anything we want. We can heal, we can do all these things. And then he was really angry. He was so angry, and he had lost his wife, so that had gone into this whole thing. And but then it goes into, well, that specific type of cancer can't be cured. And it's this thought process that we keep feeding ourselves. We keep
yeah,
saying it can't be fixed, it can't be repaired, we can't, there's nothing we can do. And it's like, there is something we can do.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
creating the hologram, creating
Yeah,
your reality.
yeah, and learning that you can change it if you want to. Just make different choices.
Mm-hmm. Thinking
Imagine,
things.
yeah,
Exactly.
think different things. Learn to turn your life around, or change things in your life. Spend a bit of time thinking and meditating and feeling the kind of future that you want to have, instead of just sitting there waiting for life to come to you or thoughts to come to you, create those thoughts. And we can be very creative in the way we create thoughts. Um, on this planet, if people understood how powerful they really are, we would change this planet in an instant.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah,
Literally instantly. That's why, the resonances and frequencies change. If there's like group meditations or, stuff like that, so long as we're all in alignment with, um, you know, Christ, the Christ consciousness, right? There's a shift there. That song, now I can't get this song. I don't know the all the words, but it's the Willy Wonka imagination song. I can't get it out. The tune is like going through my head now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, and there's something called volition or the will, and people don't understand how powerful their will is. You know, the power of choice. You know, you could be sitting in a restaurant and you make a choice to leave at a particular point in time, and just after you left, a bomb explodes. You know, that has how powerful our choices are, and we're not aware of the choices that we're making most of the time. We think life is just happening to us, so we walk into the bar where the bomb is going to explode. You know, and if we just be a bit more thoughtful about the experiences we want to have, and is it necessary to go to the restaurant in any case? You know, why not just buy a sandwich or do something else? Um, Participate actively in your life and imagine what your experience you should be, or how you would like them to be, instead of being a passive um, uh, uh, participant in something you think you have no control over. And that's just a myth. I mean, that's a myth that's being told here. Another thing is the universe is the unified field of information, and we have this notion of separation on this planet, that we are all separated from each other. You know, in a sense, we're all just a bucket of consciousness.
Yeah. I've noticed that makes me think of like how you take like all these uh well, I like for instance, I just had to try to go through my daughter's toys. I don't know one from the next, right? So we had to dump out all these buckets to separate them into buckets, right? So but it's kind of like reminds me of that. Like how do we separate all this out? Well, in reality, do we need to separate it out? The answer would be no, because then we lose access to collective consciousness. But here's the thing that is getting me, Colin, is they're running programs to continue to separate us, right? To continue to keep us in separate thought processes, keep us separate from each other by race, by color, by religions, by ideas, by beliefs, by all of these things. They're taking us and separating us out into these little containers. And there's this massive push. It's like it was all quiet and on the down low for years, but now, because everything is so exposed, now they're like amping it up. It's like they've taken all of the extra. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but everything is just like extra. It's extra. I can't think of any other word except for extra. Like, how do you think that that is going to, because like I don't think they have any more cards to play. Do you think that that's going to fall their fallen system, or do you think that it's going to be a success? Am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's all kind of working up to a climax here, that um, something's got to give, because the behavior of the fallen ones on this planet is now becoming totally outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a large population of people out there who understand this, understand what we're talking about, and participate in this. And they understand that the cabal is run out of the Vatican and out of London and out of Washington, and they understand that there's a structure to their madness. And they have a family group, and then you get the different organizations they've created around themselves too, and they all are compartmentalized so that one doesn't know what the other one's doing, and it's all centrally controlled. We understand that, and that it's penetrating through all those layers to get to the center, the core of this thing that's being done at the moment. and it's going to it's going to happen in ways that we probably won't be able to accept and understand, but it's all under control. I know that I've been told that the Guardian Alliance is determined this time to make sure that the
Yeah.
Earth is in this ascension cycle.
Yeah, I'm getting the same messages, but they really are amping up their holograms. Do you know what I mean? And some
Yeah,
people are getting really super trapped in that webbing. And
yeah,
it's because they're amping it up and being extra, it is creating this level of fear. Pretty soon, it's like you can't bleed a turnip. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to have any more fear to give because it's like you just pretty much capped us out. And, plus, so there's going to be no more like feeding source, right? So,
yeah,
um, a lot of people are worried about their loved ones or whatever the case may be. And I say, just keep creating your own reality and keep envisioning with faith. Like Colin says, creating this and believing in it and living it, because that is what's going to uh, help the ones that you love, right? That's
yeah,
what's going to make the difference in pulling people out of, uh, well, I guess I like to call it the pit of hell, right? This is like a dark reality. And,
yeah,
um, and yeah, it's always, what did they say? It's always darkest before the dawn, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I'm feeling very optimistic about things. I know a lot of people are feeling a bit down because President Trump lost the election and so on. But Um, I don't feel that at all, because I've been on this journey for such a long time, and I know what the end goal is. And I've seen the steps that have happened, the experiences I've had on this journey that are taking us to that goal. And so I'm certain we're going to have some ups and downs and different experiences and changes in certain, structures and political ways. And but I have absolute confidence in the Guardian Alliance because I've been out there, I've seen what they can do. They've explained to me in detail how reality is created, and then that we are just in a harmonic bandwidth, that creates that is energy in harmony with each other, and that creates reality. That our what we call solid matter is not solid matter. It's actually waves of energy. It's only we, through our observation of it, make it solid.
yeah,
Whereas behind the matter, it's just energy. Everything is energy. All matter is energy. Every element on the elemental table has a certain resonance, wave resonance. And so that's how scientists can identify what minerals are on other planets, because it's the resonance that comes back to them, because some certain waves come or reflected back to them. And it's that resonance of that informs them about what elements are on other planets. Everything is about energy, and we are energy beings, and we have an energy body. I call it the soul, but in a sense it's just the plasma body of highly charged positive and negative ions that is consciously aware, and it's been on a soul journey for billions of years. And the soul is eternal, it never stops.
yeah,
When we leave this body one day, the soul will continue. How would you like your soul to continue? The way you came into this world, or as a better soul? And that's what we have to do, is refine our soul so to be it. The soul we came into is refined, and we have a better soul when we leave. Um, when I say better soul, I don't mean that in a judgmental way of yes, it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's had experiences that have benefited the soul.
yeah.
And so those beneficial experiences are helping to refine the soul. Yeah. Well, we were designed not to die for a very long time.
Mhm.
In fact, in the original Earth, people lived until they got tired of being in the same body, and they would drop the body. That
Yeah.
was called body, and then they would go and, you know, incarnate somewhere else, or even just walk into another body, or it depends on. There's so many options available to them. But the soul is a very, very powerful thing, because the universe is a powerful thing, and we are part of the universe. It's like a fabric of energy, waves of light and sound, crisscrossing over each other, intersecting with each other, creating sparks of light and sound. They come at different angles, and they all work in a particular way. And we are part of that fabric of the universe. When those two waves of electric and magnetic energy spark, they create consciousness that creates our identity, our soul identity, because everybody is unique. That frequency of that wave, those two waves crossing over, is unique. No two souls have the same frequency.
Right. Isn't
So
that amazing? It reminds me of the fingerprints. Like
yeah,
no fingerprints are the same.
yeah,
And I think that that like expresses physically the only thing we can tie physically to our soul expression, right? As being
yeah.
unique.
So we are vital to the whole of the fabric of the universe,
Yeah.
and we need to hold that position. We can't falter. If we falter, then that weakens the fabric.
Yeah.
So everyone has to stay strong within themselves and be generating a positive energy from their hearts and their minds, and creating the images in their heads and thinking. We are thinking, feeling beings, but we just we haven't learned how to refine our thinking and feeling. Many people, before I woke up, I was an emotional wreck, because I didn't feel my feelings. I thought my feelings. So if someone asked me, how are you feeling? I would tell them how I was feeling, but I was telling them what I was thinking I was feeling. I didn't actually, I wasn't capable of feeling my feelings.
Yeah.
So I had to go and learn how to do that and feel my feelings again. And then I began to feel feelings, and I didn't like it, because it was scary.
Yeah.
Because feelings are not logic. They're
Hmm.
not logical. That's why men don't understand women, because they say women are not logical. Of course, women aren't logical. Feelings, emotions are not logical.
Hmm. That's
You
right.
can't analyze feelings. It's just beyond rationalization.
And and everyone will feel different about each thing presented to them. They could all be experiencing the same thing, and everyone's going to have a different feeling, a different expression of how that moved them or didn't, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and 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 some people will have no feelings. That's being in zero point in observation mode, and that's okay too, right? That's
yeah,
okay too.
yeah. Because the energy that we represent is shaped like a toy road.
Yeah.
And in the center, you get the 0 point energy, 0 point. And the 0 point connects us, is a portal to other dimensions.
Yeah.
And so when you feel nothing and you're thinking nothing, you're in that 0 point. And often in my meditation, that's where I go,
Hmm.
to that 0 point. It's almost like you come out of it born again, because
Yeah.
suddenly you're thinking thoughts you never thought before, you're feeling feelings you never felt before. It's how you kind of renew the engine of our souls. The energy that's flowing around us all the time is going into that 0 point.
And you're untouchable in that space, right?
Yeah,
Well, like invisible, kind of, I guess,
yeah,
especially by any of the fallen ones. They don't know what to do with you in there. Yeah.
yeah. It's a no time, no space zone. So
Mhm.
you even are outside of the realm of time and space.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, we're going to have a lot more to go into, but we are on time. So this is, starting to understand. this is really just only scratching the surface of, how to master the hologram. This is just really scratching the surface. Um, Colin, can you share your website and classes so people can really dive deep into this stuff?
Yeah,
And we'll talk about it again next week because I think we have some more things to move through just to kind of get people thinking a little bit differently. So
yeah. The courses that I run are it's I'm running it over 3 years. I've started the course. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and there are lots of courses involved in it. But anybody can come on at any time, and they're designed so that people can work through the courses at their own pace, because it's just so much information that's available that it's like tonight we've touched on some of that information about energy, and it is mind-blowing. It's going to, many people, like I did in the beginning, I had no understanding of what this was all about, and so I had to really work with it. So I offer these courses, I offer books, and I also offer self-standing courses like the mechanic, mastering the holograms, one of them. So you can just go buy that particular course. But it's the writings of Colin Joe, which is one word.com. And they can find my courses and everything else on there.
beautiful. Thank you.
A good place to go visit is my writings, the Attitudes of Mastery. And I hope that gives you a lot of inspiration.
I'm pretty sure it's going to give anybody a lot of inspiration. It's mind blowing to see, to read and experience your work because you put it in there. I've always been myself like afraid of uh, words like toroidal, words like 0 point and, God is math, these kinds of things. It always like freaked me out. And I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to comprehend or understand that. But when you understand that we've been put in a system that doesn't even teach us real math and has us stuck in a different time space continuum in our minds, right? Colin is really, really good about because it's the truth, right? And so the truth just resonates and it makes sense. And it's
Yeah,
like this breath of like, oh my gosh, finally somebody that's here to express like what we should know, what we should come in being taught, how this works. And so I know that there's a lot of people really working to change the education system for our children. And, it's going to kind of start with us at this point, right? Like we need to bring in this information and Colin's got a lot of it. So I do see some new schools opening up, new schools for children, actually. So maybe we'll start implementing Colin's stuff in those because I think that would be amazing. So anyway, thank you. Check out the writings of colinjoe.com. And thank you everybody for being here. We're sending you so much love. Um, until next week.
love to you too. And to all the viewers out there, much love to you. Have a good week.
You too. Bye, guys.